What you did was extraordinary, and I'll never forget it. I'm thankful that you're here. Can I help you with something? Here, in this place, the magistrate has me earning my keep by cleaning and pruning the gardens. It's not quite how I expected my life to go. I used to live in a lovely villa on the banks of the Tiber. I was even betrothed to a handsome young man from a prominent family. But long hours of menial labor for the good of the community has its own charms too, I suppose. Oh, much the same way as many of the others. When the fires came to Rome 7 months ago, my family and I fled for the Tiber, hoping to escape on a barge. We were among the fortunate ones with enough coins for passage, but unfortunately, there were a lot of desperate people, and they boarded before we could depart. A scuffle broke out, and I was pushed overboard. The last thing I remember was the water, rising up to hit my cheekbone. I woke up by the river, near that shrine, and stumbled across this place. Oh, that's all right. I'm sure it's all part of God's plan for me. If you like. I'm afraid not. Although, I did once hear someone gossiping down at Aurelia's tavern about a possible way out. I don't put a lot of stock in such rumors, but if you're desperate and wealthy, you could look into it, I suppose. If that doesn't work, then I suppose we're all stuck here until the gods decide our fate. I hope it works out. The many shall suffer for the sins of the one. I think about those words a lot. I'd like to think that if we all love our neighbours as ourselves and do to them as we'd have them do to us, then we'll all be fine. But on the other hand, I was always taught the intent of man's heart is evil from his youth, and that all of us are born with a tendency towards sin. And that's where I get stuck. Is it true? Are we born with a tendency towards sin? If that's true, then sooner or later, things are going to end badly for all of us down here. Unless, of course, there's some kind of divine intervention. Please keep that to yourself. I know you're not from around here, but things are very difficult for us right now. There was a terrible fire in Rome last year, and our emperor decided to make us his scapegoats. There were executions. It was horrible. Oh, thank you. You have no idea how much I appreciate that. Ah, that's a shame. Another time then.
Citizen. Name's Rufius. Better watch your step. See? Citizen.
Come and join me by the fire. Welcome, welcome. May I ask your name? It's a sincere pleasure to meet you. Tell me, what brings you all the way down here? Then perhaps the fates brought you here to learn the secrets of this place. I will tell you everything I know, but first, a request. I have been living down here alone for many years, with nobody to talk to but myself. The one thing I long for above all else before I die is a good philosophical argument with somebody astute. I'm hoping that person is you. Let us find out with this simple question. Have you deduced the name of the god responsible for the Golden Rule? You have much to learn. It's best if you figure it out on your own. Come back once you've made progress. Then you should speak with your contemporaries in the city above. Ask them about their stories and see if you detect a pattern of some sort. It is best if you come to this realization for yourself. You would never believe me if I told you. You've returned.
Shiny. Salve and welcome. Need something? Oh, there's not much to tell. I mostly just bake bread and try to help out where I can. I suppose it all started about 8 months ago. I was living in Rome with my family when I got sick. Terrible timing. My pa had just arranged a husband for me, a fisherman's son. I was about to meet him for the first time when I came down with an awful fever. I spent the next week in bed. Pa paid priests to make offerings to Asclepius, a white rooster, then a goat. But nothing worked. In the end, they decided I'd do better outside the city. Clean air in the countryside would do me good, they said. But after about a day in a carriage on the Appian Way, I was getting worse, not better. I remember closing my eyes for a bit, and I guess I must have fell asleep, because when I opened them again, I was in a forest by a river. I suppose the driver took off with his fee and left me for dead. Can't say I blame him. I wouldn't have wanted to catch what I had either. Anyway, I went searching for help, stumbled across the trapdoor temple, and here I am. Oh yeah, I suppose you're right. Hadn't really thought about it. But the gods are mysterious and powerful. Who knows what their plans are for us? What? You've been here a few moments and you're desperate to get out already? Why not give the place a chance before you try to leave? Good people here. Galerius works hard on the farm so I can put food on our tables, and Lucretia tries to keep us healthy. My friend Georgius is always mending our clothes, and Virgil makes sure these old walls don't fall down around us. Well, he does his best. I'm just saying, there are worse places you could live out your days. Well, I can tell from your funny accent you're not from around here, but that doesn't mean you don't belong, does it? Oh, I try not to worry about it. I mean, if people are nice to each other, we won't have anything to worry about, will we? Thanks. And I like your teeth. They're so white. And your clothes. Oh, I bet my friend Georgius would like to get a look at you. And I'm sure he'd love to chatter about the golden rule with you too. He'll be just across the forum in his shop. Terrible shame, that is. Maybe this'll help. Late last night, I was cleaning my oven when I heard some noises outside. The forum's usually dead quiet at that hour, so I came out to see what was going on. To be honest, I thought maybe poor old Dooley had got out of his cell and was snooping around again. So I put my head out and saw someone in front of Virgil's shop. I couldn't tell who, it was too dark. I called out to them, but they just turned and ran off without a word. All I remember is they ran past a lit torch and the light glinted off something metallic. Armour, I think. So I suppose it could only be one of 3 people, Horatius, Domitius or Rufius. I hope that helps. Oh. All right.
Whatever's in that great temple up there on the bluff, I bet it's worth a fortune.
Citizen, we're finally... We have? Wait, if I understand correctly, someone is about to break the Golden Rule, forcing me to create a portal in time to bring you here? I must have entrusted you with figuring out who the culprit is, only I assume we failed, and you had to start over. Is that about right? If so, what happened? Ah, I see. Look, it's unfortunate, but all that matters now is that you make use of what you've learned and gathered and do better next time. Now, I assume you sought me out again for a reason. Of course, what is it? Yes? Why then did you say... It doesn't matter. It looks like you'll have to continue your investigation. Ask then. Good. Now, was there something else you wanted to Sextus Sentius Imperiosus is my name, though magistrate is the proper way to address me. Before I wound up here, I was a decurion in the cavalry of Imperial Rome, helping protect civilization from the barbarians. My men and I were at the Emporium in Rome as honor guard for a visiting dignitary arriving upriver by barge. Now the port is usually bustling, but just as our guests arrived, waves of people began running toward the river from streets and alleyways in every direction. They were trying to escape a terrible fire. Unfortunately, the crowd sent my horse into a panic, and I remember it losing its footing by the water's edge. The next thing I knew, I was waking up on a riverbank not far from here in the company of some stranger. I went looking for my horse and discovered that lonely temple. You can probably figure out the rest. It's a cavalry officer. I had 30 men under my command. This was my uniform. As magistrate, I usually wear a toga, but today I may need to survive long enough to create the portal for you, so it seemed prudent. I was elected 7 months ago, uncontested because of my command experience. Since then, there's been growing agitation for another election. They're supposed to be annual, but I agreed to hold it sooner, hoping it would placate my constituents. Unfortunately, it just seems to have emboldened certain elements instead. Very well. If I did, I'd have led these people out of here already. I've had plenty of time to think about it. Let me see if I can sum up my thoughts. I've always considered my guiding star to be the well-being of the Roman people. Our survival and prosperity have always hinged upon honoring the peace of the gods, the sacred accord between the gods and the people of Rome. Give the gods what they want and we all prosper. Dishonor them and we all die. It's as simple as that. The real enemy in this place is not the Golden Rule, but human failings. The temptation to slide into degeneracy, greed, and hubris. I trust that answers your question. You mean Duilius? Releasing him is out of the question, I'm afraid. That man is a liability we simply cannot afford. Perhaps you're not aware he was caught multiple times, sneaking around in places he should not have been. Look, I can see where you're going with this. You think me cruel. I assure you that is not the case. You may not be aware of this, but it was not so long ago, during the Republic, the law of the 12 Tables would have required that he be killed as soon as he was born, owing to his deformities. Here we see to it that he has food, water, and shelter, and most importantly, he is able to continue living. A privilege that would be taken away from all of us were he to be released and commit the crime of trespass. The man has no self-discipline, poor comprehension of what is going on around him, and is an incorrigible rule breaker. I will not jeopardize the lives of my people so that one man can go free. Now, was there something else? Thank you. I'll be waiting here for news.
Oh, I wish Horatius would stop. Oh, you... Oh, really? That commoner in debt bondage next door thought he could win over a magistrate's daughter. That's awfully bold of him. I can see why she worked so hard to keep it a secret. Quick, go and find him and ask him what he knows. Oh, I see. Well, it was worth a try, I suppose. Just promise me you won't give up on her. Thank you.
What now? I went around asking the same questions when I first arrived. Never did find a way out. To bear trials with a calm mind robs misfortune of it. What? Absolutely not. I know someone's been threatening him, and I'm not happy about it. But I can assure you, it isn't me. Well, as I always say, it's kind of like a divine version of the practice of decimation in the Legion. By threatening to execute 1 in 10 men, the idea is to ensure order and discipline among everyone. And it works. If you knew you could be executed because your brother-in-arms is planning a mutiny, well, you'd bloody well watch him like 100-eyed Argus, wouldn't you? Because your only chance of saving yourself is to stop bad things before they happen. Makes us all responsible for keeping each other in check. It's brutal, of course, but effective. The Legion wouldn't be the most formidable force in the world without it. A war crime? Isn't that a contradiction in terms? As Cicero said, in times of war the law falls silent. Seems that way. War crimes. Ridiculous. What's done is done. I was forced to execute my brothers-in-arms, and those memories will always visit me in my sleep. But life is harsh, and I've come to accept my lot. As with the Golden Rule, I don't have any control over it, so railing against it would be like trying to stop the seasons or the tides. As Seneca the Younger wrote, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future, not to amuse ourselves with either hopes or fears, but to rest satisfied with what we have, which is sufficient. For he that is so wants nothing. If you like. All right?
I hope you have a good reason for flouting my weapons.
How come you're allowed a weapon and I'm not?
Shalom. I feel like I've looked everywhere. At least everywhere I could get to. There are still 2 places I've never been able to reach. First, the palace. If Navia managed to get in, then I suppose Scintilla could have too. The only other place she could be is somewhere in the cistern network. I remember hearing that Dooley had been poking around in the upper cistern before he was locked up. So you could ask him about it, I suppose. All right, friend. Thanks for the chat. Shalom. You mean where am I from and all that? Judea, originally. But when I was a child, I moved to Rome with my family, Romanized my name and spent most of my life in the Jewish district of Trans-Tiberim, across the Tiber from the main city. That's where I was when the fires broke out. Everyone was running toward the river and I, listening to my inner contrarian, ran the other way. Every road leading out of Rome was in chaos, full of people with all their belongings in carts and brigands preying on them. Several hours down the Appian Way, I saw another Jewish family being attacked by 3 opportunists. So I picked up a branch from the side of the road and went to defend them. I can only assume they got the better of me because the next thing I knew, I was waking up in a forest, by a river not far from here, with no memory of how I got there. It's strange though, because I still had my purse on me. Why would a robber knock me unconscious and throw me in a river, but not take my coins? You're right. I always just assumed the river carried me, but I'm not sure I was anywhere near the Tiber when I fell. I'm sure it'll all make sense if we ever get out of here. I don't. But even if I did, I'm not going anywhere. I have unfinished business. Well, neither of us have a couple of hours to stand around talking about theology, law, and collective punishment, so I guess you're looking for a pithy summary? You remind me of an old story from my people about Hillel the Elder. He was approached by a Gentile and asked to explain the entire Torah while he stood on 1 foot. Obliging, he replied, "What is hateful to you, do not do to another. That is the whole Torah. The rest is commentary. Go and learn." Of course, what I want to know is, what kind of a god sees a young woman abducted and does nothing about it? Not my god. That's for sure. Maybe you don't. I feel it in my bones. Sentius, I suppose. I'd have to be insane to vote for Malleolus after what he did to me. All right, friend. Thanks for the chat.
How come you're allowed a weapon and I'm not?
Thank you. I am delighted and deeply honored to have been elected your magistrate. Magistrate, is it? Did you just scale the wall to my villa somehow? Well, why have you risked life and limb to see me? My name is Marcus Malleolus Gurgis. You seem to have confused me with someone else. You mean my heterochromia? I am guilty of nothing more than having different colored eyes. And I'm hardly the only person with the condition. Alexander the Great had it too, as it happens. I like to think it is simply the way the gods have chosen to mark a natural-born ruler. Nothing more. Well, I am not suffering from any delusions, as today's election will firmly establish. Unlikely, because it simply isn't true. Now, was there something else you wanted? Are you insane? You barge into my villa uninvited and then make outrageous demands? Why would I withdraw from an election I'm bound to win? You fool.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Salve, friend. Mind telling me who you are and why you look like you've just taken on a gladiator and lost? All right then. I'll get out of your way.
There's a light in your eyes. Coming on a bit. Let's just forget. All right.
The 49 melodies, just as the ocean, except but it does not.
Ah, it's you now. I've bounced the idea around once or twice, mainly as a way of getting Dooley set free. God knows Sentius is never going to do it. But from what I hear, Malleolus has the election stitched up. Nobody's going to take him on and win. And maybe that's not such a bad thing. I mean, he talks a lot about freedom, so I'm hoping if he's elected, he'll release Dooley from his cell. And that's good enough for me. Because Sentius put him there. Poor Dooley was just wandering around looking for some imaginary treasure. Now a magistrate accused him of being a thief. That's nonsense, of course. Dooley's the most harmless man you'll ever meet. But Sentius really has it in for him, for some reason. Gladly. I can't see how I could vote for either candidate. I don't like Sentius much, but Malleolus is almost as bad. Even I could do a better job. Me, a farmer. And I've never given a speech or put on a toga in my life. Oh, I don't give it much thought these days. I mean, everybody here's got their own view about what we need to do to survive. But I say, let's spend less time arguing about what it means to be good and just get on with it, you know? Well, as much as I'd love to get out of here, the harvest's always more fruitful in another man's field, isn't it? But Scintilla, Sentius's daughter, went missing a few weeks back. Could be she found a way out. If anyone knows for sure, it'll be her sister, Sentia. But she'd never tell the likes of me. Well, it's a long one, and kind of sad, but I don't mind telling it. I'm a farmer. Always have been. I grew up in a small village in Britannia, Camulodunum, with my parents and two little sisters. Lovely part of the world. One day, when I was about 20, my father and I were in the top paddock, loading our cart, when some Roman legionaries came along, demanding produce for their men. My father told me to run into the house for his axe, and so I did. Sprinted so fast I almost threw up, but by the time I got back, he was bleeding out on the ground, and our cart was empty. That was my first encounter with the legions. My mother died of a broken heart soon after, and things went downhill from there. I took over the farmstead, but I was young, and it was a struggle. More raiding started before too long. We'd come outside in the morning to find animals missing, our stores pillaged. These Legion thugs just took whatever they wanted. One night, when my sisters and I had nothing left to steal, there was a knock at the door. I knew who they were, and what they wanted. I got my father's old axe, pulled the door open real quick, and before that soldier knew it, split his face right down the middle. But there were more of them. I never saw how many, because the next thing I knew, I was waking up with a mouth full of dirt and lungs full of smoke. My home was reduced to ash. My sisters, dead. And they left me alive to see what they'd done. Still burns whenever I think about it. Yeah, well, I wasn't the only one this happened to. It wasn't long before Boudica led thousands of Britons in a rebellion against the Romans. Unfortunately, there were just too many of them. And those of us who survived, they enslaved. So, then I found myself being transported all the way to Rome to be sold to the highest bidder. I spent a few years working for my new master, learning the Romans' ways, Romanized my name and everything. Tried to escape a couple of times, but they always found me, and I'd just end up right back where I was. I'd probably still be there too, if it wasn't for the stampedes breaking out. You see, about 7 months ago, an enormous fire broke out in Rome. Everybody was running down toward the river, screaming and shouting. I'd never seen anything like it. Human beings acting like cattle. I got swept up with them somehow, and the rest is a blur. The next thing I knew, some stranger was dragging me out of a river. Stumbled across this place and started my life over again. That's what I thought too, for a while. But it seems the gods aren't done tormenting me yet. See, I finally had my own farm again, safe from the grasping hands of the Romans. Or so I thought. Until Sentius the Decurion demanded I hand over all my produce. It's for the good of us all, he says. Only he takes the best bits for himself, of course. He even told me if I refuse his demands, I'll break the golden rule. I'm not sure I believe him, but then, what if he's right? So, it turns out our dear old magistrate is no better than the Legion thugs who took everything from me. I'm right back where I began. But don't you worry, Nemesis is waiting, and he'll get his, one day. He'll get his. Forget I said that last part, will you? I get carried away sometimes. Thanks, friend. I knew I liked you. Anyway, that's enough of me rambling. Was there something else you wanted to talk about? I've bounced the but... And how could you know that? I mean, I don't like the man, but I don't see how you could know a thing like that. I suppose you're right. All right, see you around.
How come you're allowed a weapon and I'm not? Hey, you're not thinking about going into the cistern, are you? Nobody's told you about Hannibal? Ugh, why do I have to do everything round here? So, there was this guy called Hannibal, right? Funny accent. Used to go down into the cisterns looking for junk he could clean up and sell. One day, a few weeks back, he comes out and tells me the cisterns are haunted.
Shiny.
Said he could hear spirits wailing. Of course, nobody believed him, because who trusts a Carthaginian, right? Anyway, a few days later, he goes back in. And hours go by, and he hasn't come back out, yeah? So I go down after him, and it's dark. But in the distance, I can just make out his body, sprawled out on the ground. And hunched over him was something that made my blood run cold. No word of a lie. I saw a creature. Like the corpse of a man who'd been flayed. And it was eating Hannibal. What any sane person would have done. I legged it out of there and put a sign at the door to warn the others. Well, it's your funeral.
You? Who are you?
he send you? Do you know you're here? You have to help me escape before that monster comes back. I'm Scintilla. I found a way out through the gate of Horn, but it's locked. So I told him about it, and instead of helping me escape, he locked me up. He wants to keep us all here forever, or until we're turned to gold. He's a monster. You have to let me go so we can kill him and take his key. I don't know. He said the gods are on his side because they don't want us to escape either. Sentius, my adoptive father. Furies help me. I'll castrate and crucify him. Behind me, there's an aqueduct tunnel bringing water from outside the city, so it should lead us outside. The only problem is it's barred by a heavy locked gate, and he has the only key. I'm going to take that key from around his neck, even if it means cutting his throat to get it. I'm done caring about the golden rule. I just want out. Help me, and we can escape together. There won't be enough time. Just you and me. What do you say? There's no time. Wait, did you hear that? He's here. Quick, you have to let me go. It's now or never. What? No, you can't just leave me here. How can you be so heartless? I hate you. I spit on you. I hope Diz drags you to Tartarus. You're back. Have you come to let me go this time? There's no What? It's no use. You'll never persuade him of anything. I'm telling you, he's a monster. Please. You're making a mistake. You're back. What? It's no use. You're making a...
Isn't the great temple majestic? A new face, Ave, and make... It must be it'll be, but why do you ask? As I said, I'm planning to hold it before dusk. But I suppose I could hold it sooner, if there's a good reason. Yes. I have overheard some rather unpleasant arguments. The last thing we need here is additional conflict. Very well. I'll get things started right away.
Citizens, it is time. Let us meet to elect our magistrate.
Time to go to the theater.
Citizens, we have a quorate body of voters gathered here to elect the city's magistrate. The candidates are Sextus Sentius Imperiosus and Marcus Malleolus Gurges. As agreed, we shall dispense with ballots and candidates will abstain from voting. Citizens, you have made your decision. Your new magistrate is Marcus Malleolus Gurges.
Hail, Magistrate Malleolus. I said, hail, Magistrate Malleolus. That's more like it.
Thank you. Thank you. I am delighted and deeply honored to have been elected your magistrate. And now, I make this solemn promise to you, good citizens. Under my leadership, you will finally enjoy the freedom you deserve. No more shall you walk on eggshells, fearing simply to live and breathe, because the tyrant Sentius told you it was forbidden. For my first act as magistrate, I hereby announce a day of celebration to mark the end of an era. The myth of the Golden Rule is no more.
Golden Rule is real, you idiot.
For his attempt to deceive us all, Sentius is hereby found guilty of treason against the Empire.
What? I have committed no crimes. This is madness.
His sentence: to fight for his life in gladiatorial combat against Domitius. Here and now for your entertainment.
You have no idea what you're doing. You're going to get us all killed.
Wait, I exercise my right as a Vestal priestess to pardon him. I will not allow you to do this.
You're showing your true colors now, priestess. Your corruption sickens me. Domitius, ignore her. Proceed.
This is insanity. You'll doom us all.
Lies! It is time the Golden Rule was exposed for what it is, a children's fable, exploited by a treacherous leader to instill fear in all of us.
This is why he's in his gladiator gear. They've been planning this all along.
Shut up, all of you. The magistrate has spoken. I'm going to enjoy killing you, old man.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
After everything we've built.
Salva... What? That's a big ask. But something tells me you're not kidding. All right, I'm gonna stick my neck out and believe you. But I doubt I'll be able to gather more than a handful of people. Fortune smile on you, sister.
Hey, you're not thinking about going into the cistern, are you? Well, it's your
You? Who are you? We... How did you know? Wait, did you hear that? He's here. He must be coming in through the door behind me. You distract him. Stay right here and keep him talking while I look for something I can use.
What did you do with Scintilla? Where is she? So that is how it's going to be. Oh well, this doesn't change anything for me. It's a shame, really. If you'd just done what you were supposed to, you'd have been looping through time forever until you gave up and killed yourself. Just like that soft-hearted pleb. Surely you didn't think you were the only one here who remembered everything. You see, my connection to the portal somehow preserves my memories from one loop to the next. Whether that was Proserpina's intention or a happy accident, I'll never know. But I'm surprised you hadn't noticed. Here I was thinking you're a little bit sharper than Al was. Or perhaps you're just more willing to break the rules. He was a moralistic fellow, never once compromised on his principles. And because of that fatal flaw, he relived this day many thousands of times before we finally had this conversation. I watched him come through the portal each time, always a little older, a little more disheveled, a little more haunted. And when he finally saw the futility of it all, as you're about to, it broke him. He drank a jug of wine, tied a noose around his neck, and took his own life, just before he was shot with a golden arrow. The next time I awoke, you showed up, but you've caught up to where he was so quickly. I'd have preferred if you'd given me more time to enjoy the trappings of my success. How many extra days did you give me? Just the 8? Not a lot compared with Al, but I've seized every day nonetheless. In any case, there's no escape for you except the path that Al took, the path he wrote about on his tablet. What was it? Ah, yes. Better to end it all now than find out what awaits you beyond that portal. So, you discovered my secret. So what? What are you going to do about it? Why? Isn't it obvious? Because I have grown attached to all this. My title, my beautiful villa, the sun on my face, the music of birds chirping. And as long as this day keeps repeating itself, I get to enjoy it all, over and over again, for eternity. Don't you see? I have found a way to prolong my life indefinitely. To cheat death. I have become, in effect, as immortal as the gods. Can you honestly say you would not wish the same for yourself? Of course. There's no way you could have succeeded. Every soul who has ever found themselves here has broken the golden rule eventually. It is inevitable. Man will always sin sooner or later. Any idiot could tell you this, but where others might see tragedy, I saw opportunity. As I told you the first time we met, I found a way to cheat death. By reliving the same day over and over again forever. And I will continue living long after your dust. Do you really think you can take on a Decurion with that flimsy little bird? Who? Scintilla? Where is she?
I'm right here, Father.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Come on, we have to go. The others should be right behind us. Hey, what's happening to you? That light, it's so bright.
Hi there. Gave me a bit of a fray. Thought I was in here alone. I'm Al. Well, here I am. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. Really? That's strange. I was just reading an old tablet I found here. Well, trying. My Latin is kinda rusty, but the last entry mentioned someone with the same name. It described an event about 2,000 years ago. Someone with your name appeared in the city out of the shrine of Proserpina. Freed an imprisoned woman named Scintilla, who then murdered her captor, breaking some kind of ancient law. It said the attack caused golden statues to come alive, hunting down everyone in the city and turning them into gold. Apparently, Scintilla and a handful of other citizens managed to escape, while the stranger disappeared in a flash of light. What? You're saying you were here 2,000 years ago? I'm not sure I understand. I'm sorry, come again? Let me see that. God, why does this writing look so familiar? I've spent a lifetime in this place going around and around in circles. This is disturbing, but I don't understand how I could have written it. I'm not following. So you're saying, because a man from 2,000 years ago is dead, he never created a time portal, so I never went through it, and that's why I don't remember any of this. I guess you saved my life then, as well as helping a bunch of others to escape. That's a lot to take in. Maybe we can escape through the same aqueduct Scintilla used, if we can find it. I'm gonna pause here for a moment and make sure nobody else has ever lured into this temple. You go on ahead, and I'll be there soon.
You're back! But you're alone. Does that mean you didn't find Al? Oh, what a relief. Thank you so much. I was beginning to think you'd both become trapped in there.
Why don't you tell me what you discovered while we wait?
Really? Sounds amazing. And did you... Oh, look! Here he comes. Al! It's so good to see you. You were gone so long I thought I'd never see you again.
Kinda lost track of time in there. You wouldn't believe what we found. The ruins of a long-forgotten city. And there was a tablet describing an event 2,000 years ago. Supposedly, the city was destroyed when a woman murdered a tyrant with the help of, well, my new friend here. I know how crazy that sounds.
Maybe not that crazy. That woman. I don't suppose her name was... Scintilla?
How could you... What?
She left a tablet of her own. I stumbled across it while I was waiting here. I think she meant for you to read it. Here, take a look.
I don't know what became of you, or if you'll ever read this, but Octavia, Lucretia, Horatius, Decretia and I will never forget you, or what you did for us. It pains us that so many of our dear friends were not so fortunate, including Ulpius and Galerius, who heroically tried to rescue Dooley, but never made it back. But there is no point dwelling on what might have been. All we can do is take this gift you've given us, and try to show others the same compassion you showed us. We promise you that saving our lives was not for nothing. Scintilla et al.
Sounds like you meant a lot to her. I'd love to hear your story, but first, you two look exhausted. Why don't you hop in my boat and rest while I ferry you back to civilization?
Sounds good to me.
And you? Are you ready to go home?